Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. It's time to speak about another one of my personal masterpieces, and this album is as impressive as equal as it is boundary pushing. Released in 2001, Squarepusher's Go Plastic. Now before we get into whatever the fuck Go Plastic is, like, I genuinely don't know what is going on in half this record. Let me discuss the build-up. Squarepusher Tom Jenkinson is a ruddy good bass player to his core, until 1994 when jungle and breakbeat came knocking at his door. The first two EPs he ever released, Crot and Stereotype, may bear any sort of breakbeat at all, but it showcases such a sequencing prowess and his talent in progression, especially on the Stereotype EP, where the intro track Wooski is ubiquitously exciting for its 16-minute runtime. The Crot EP is more... The following year, though, he will drop two absolute belters on the Spiremania label, Alroy Road Tracks and Conumba EP. These two EPs would lay the foundation of his fusion of jungle and jazz, and obviously they are fucking excellent. Around the same time as well, he would meet Aphex Twin Richard D. James at the George Robey pub, and this is how the interaction went down. Mate, I've got like 50 tracks on like a DAT right now. I want to drop a fucking album of them, right? Really, what do you think?
Cool as cucumbers.
No, it's Conumba, mate. Get a fucking grip. Feed Me Weird Things was released in the midst of 1996, and then after that, he signed a 5-year album contract with Warp. An onslaught of legendary releases came out like Port Rhombus EP, Big Loader, Hard Normal Daddy, and Budokan Mindphone. After building this dark psychedelia sound as he so claimed, in 1998 he goes, you know what? I don't want no damn sequences, I don't want no damn samplers. So he goes and creates the mind-bending and structureless opus of Music is Rotted One Note. This is where Go Plastic comes into place. After a couple dormant years and the completely glossed over Selection 16, he goes...
I've got fed up with like trying to use live instruments. I'm bored of it, you know, I just sort of want everything to be so brutal and digital.
And so it was. Go Plastic is the zenith of the dark industrial psychedelia he was striving for. Amen's got turned into a pulp, the melodies are fucking funky yet cold, and the atmospheres are nothing but mechanical. Let's go through the track list and start off with the fantastic... Why the fuck do I even start with My Red Hot Car, right? It's an absolute masterpiece. The break work is snappy and tactile, the chorus is infectiously peppy, and that bass with the high attack on it, like a dread bass, oh, it's a masterful mix, bro. It's insane. This track was essentially used for promo of the album since it came out a month prior as a single, and also the B-side of that single contains a demo version, or like an alternate version of I Wish You Could Talk. Really good track as well. You can definitely tell where he got the album cover from as well. The next track, Bonville Occident, has got some of the best bass lines this album has got to offer. I think this is a track from the Selection 16 era because it sounds like he's fed his bass through like a DSP 4000. It's like an effects module and not 4000 dark side fills. That would be fucking terrifying. There are so many highlights in this track due to its unorthodox pacing. Like, I love the sweet and simplistic stabs around the 3-minute mark where it goes against this whirring sub bass and frenetic amens. I was loving the first breakdown too, where this ascending and descending bass line is essentially playing tug of war with the drum program in itself. Also love how this track comes full circle as well, where that riffing honking bass comes barraging through at the end against some incredible amen programming. Oh my goodness. This intense speed does not stop as we move on to the next track, Go Spastic, which is the most jungle Squarepusher has ever been. It's like if jungle was thrown into an industrial food blender. Gutty bass lines. Check. A wide variety of breakbeats that completely go off the wall. Check. a group of vocal samples that liven up the mix. Check. It's jungle heaven, bro. After a very tense yet redundant interlude, we move on to the next track, The Exploding Psychology, which in my opinion is the weakest track out of the songs here, but it's still got some awesome moments. The track is totally inquisitive and it kind of dawdles around for its entire 6-minute length, but around the 4-minute mark, this goofy G-funk synth line is introduced to a mass of like flurrying drums and like very weird and jarring synth bloops. It's just like, it's full of fucking swagger, I'll tell you that. You see, where do I even start with I Wish You Could Talk? The track itself is an emotional rigmarole. I can't put to words how fucking beautiful yet gut-wrenching this track is, bro. Like, honestly. The monumental pads are so cold, yet they are cheerful and evocative, and I love the phasing layered amens as well. They are such a neat touch. I Wish You Could Talk is also the most linear out of all these tracks, which is a great direction because it just lets the emotions do the talking and lets the drum and bass do the drum and bassing. It's just a phenomenal track overall, and that leads us to Greenway. Mad. This track is basically sludge. It's a synthetic, sentient sludge that destroys everything in its path and eats everything as well. Turns a fucking fiery red. It's unreal. This is his pinnacle when it comes to drum programming, and there's not even a trackador involved. It is all analog material.
It's a drum machine. I want to get a drum machine, so I'll get it. And over the years of working with it, I end up doing like granular synthesis with like a drum machine because it's just like you're going like.
There is an iconic moment where this granular synthesis comes into full effect around the 4.5 minute mark. He grabs a segment of the drum and then he just fucking grinds it down until it becomes a sort of miasma of sound, a sort of static of sound. It is just ridiculous. Tomib is a very gorgeous track. It is super lush, super simplistic, and every time you listen to it, you are transported to a cushioned limbo. The track is also a rose between two thorns as well, which makes it more for a memorable interlude. The composition is nothing but a wandering melody that feels like it's been going on for eternity, going against these ethereal, subtle, yet resonant bass pads. It is nothing but that, but it just works so well. Also, fun fact, this track was named by Aphex Twin as well. Righto, we move on to the best song of this album, My Fucking Sound. In the intro, the song doesn't really gain its footing. There's a lot of tinkering and brittle drums that just kind of ping and zap around everywhere against this sort of basic synth. At around 2 minutes in, the track revolves around this dusty, swinging, breakbeat snare and hi-hat that slowly smears gradually throughout the track, building this sort of like menacing tension. It feels like a sharpened pendulum swinging left to right. Pads introduced which are theatrically haunting. The breakbeats get even more cutthroat, and the backbone of this track falls apart into a diapason that's so unspeakably raw. We also got to thank My Fucking Sound for this brilliant moment at Fuji Rock 01.
Time to go full speed!
Righto, Go Plastic ends on my fucking sound, and we all live happily ever after, and this album's the GOAT, yada yada yada. But there's one more thing that Squarepusher threw in the machine. Fucking hell. Plasto Flex Out. The track itself is very down-tempo focused. There's very simplistic and snappy drums that lead the way, alongside a synth that sounds like droplets of water rippling across the track. All of a sudden, Squarepusher thinks to himself and goes, you know what this track needs? A robotic gaggle of angry geese. And that is it for Go Plastic. I feel like this record is rather pivotal for the time it was released and still revolutionary to this day, as it introduced so many unique techniques and slicing up so many breakbeats and samples. I feel like around that time it was made, breakbeat was at a crossroads. The left side was going to a more frenetic, angrier and shrill side, and the right side was going more linear and more sort of revolved around the regular passing the drum and bass, but focusing more on emotion. That's what I feel like for this record, and it managed to forge its own path down the middle for it being a pariah of both sides, and it's just mental. It really is just such a mental album. I rate it highly. Thank you for watching. See you in a bit. Bye!